Hi, Basma. I'm just reading your post. Mhm. Hi, Danya.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. كله كويس الحمد لله.
Can somebody do me a favor and share the link with Sandra on the group?
Okay.
Thank you. And then we can start.
So who's the one that's included?
Sandra, she posted right under the reminder
Okay.
post.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Basma. Okay.
And Dana, I'm sorry, I might have to leave a bit earlier and then continue the with the recording later on.
No problem. I have a feeling it might be a short call anyway,
Okay.
because of the change of time and everything.
Okay.
But in all cases, whether we have a full call or a shorter call,
Okay.
it will be recorded. Okay. I hope Sandra saw. Let me see. I just finished packing, Besma. I'm leaving tomorrow. So I literally just finished packing everything, organizing everything. Um, I had to pack all the baby stuff. Uh, yeah, it's
Mhm.
we went shopping when I was in Japan in November. We did a little bit of baby shopping when I was there, but it was a bit of a challenge because I don't want to sound like when we go to the Japanese shops, okay, to buy baby stuff, they're the Japanese taste in baby
Mhm.
clothes. You know how have you ever been to like in Moski here in Egypt?
Ah, okay.
Like they
Okay.
have
Mm.
that's all of their stuff. Like you go to a mall and you know how in all malls they'll have like a whole section that's like the kids section, right? A whole
Mhm.
section that's like kids clothes, baby stuff. And so we went to that and all of their stuff was like this not pretty. It's just not pretty. You have baby.
Did you find things in Cairo?
But we found
لقيتي.
so they did have a baby Gap. Okay, so we
Oh,
got
okay.
stuff from there, which is super cute. But it was a super small baby Gap, like
Oh,
it wasn't a ton of
mm,
stuff. So
mm,
then we traveled to London over Christmas. So Malak was like, Mom,
okay.
and the really weird thing also that they don't have, we just found a few at Baby Gap, but like the baby's newborn pajamas, they have
Uh,
feet, right? It's like a full
yeah.
sleep suit. They don't have that anywhere in Japan. All of their sleep suits are without feet. I don't know if that's a Japanese
Uh,
thing. So like
okay.
I was like, no, they need to like the poor baby's feet. He's gonna get cold. So Melek was like, Mom, just buy me these basics from London. So I bought her like all of these, like they didn't have the snap, the one piece onesies also.
Mm, 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 mm.
They don't have that either. They just have these funny like undershirts that just don't go anywhere. So I'm like, this is bizarre. We're not used to this. So I just got her
Mm.
like the basic onesies, pajamas, things like that. So yeah, so packed all of that, packed my stuff for 2 months of living in Tokyo. I don't know what that's going to be like.
Is
But
it cold there? Well, is the weather
right
okay?
now it's cold. Right now it's cold.
Oh, okay.
So I took some heavy stuff and then I'll be there for like springish kind of weather. So we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see.
Exciting. You're gonna be a grandmother.
Yeah.
I'm said that. Dana, من فضلك. This is another phase. This is another phase. You need to like, do another course about that
I don't know what to
later
do with
on.
that. No, I don't know what to do with that. No, I don't know what to do. When I figure it out, I have to always at least
I
kind
know.
of figure things out first before I pass on the info. Um,
Mm,
I'm totally going in. I even feel like I don't,
mm.
like I forgot how to do the basic mothering things. Like I'm so nervous that I feel like I don't even, like if she says here, change the baby, I'm going to be like, I don't know how. Like that's how nervous I am.
Yeah.
It's just been a
It's
really
been a
long
while.
time. So I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, it
Inshallah,
is.
it'll be amazing.
Yeah. Welcome, ladies. Hi, Emel. Hi, Sandra. So today, ladies, we are going to what I would like to do in this session, because several of you have been asking very specific questions about the gatekeeper specifically that I put in last week's module. What does that actually mean? The role of the gatekeeper. Besma, you just posted on the group about, yeah, like how do you actually, where is the strength and softness? Because they're very, very contradictory. So I just want to start off by explaining those, because those two questions have showed up in a couple of different forms in the last week or so. So let me just clarify that, and then we can just open it up for any questions you have about specifically that, about the gatekeeper role, about, how does that actually show up, about how do you actually do that in your day to day? I think that's the main question. Like, how does that actually happen in our day to day? So let me just start by saying, Rania, you had asked me this last week about like, where does this whole gatekeeper concept come from? Like, is this a fact? Like, where is it a theory? Like, where does it say that women are the gatekeepers and men are the providers and protectors? And this is just comes from tradition. It's something that way before you had sort of the quote unquote modern ideas of, feminism and the roles of women and the roles of men in a society. This is what original men and women, right? The ones who lived in the caves, the caveman, they didn't know, nobody assigned them roles. Nobody told them, here's what you should do as a woman, here's what you should do as a man. They just acted based on their instinct and based on their innate abilities. And so the men's innate abilities, because they were stronger physically, was to go out and hunt and to catch the food and to bring the food and to protect their families from the invasion of nearby tribes, or to protect them maybe from animals attacking. So they were the providers and protectors. Women did not necessarily go out to hunt and animals. They did, provide in the way that they nurture the home, but they were naturally better equipped at communication, at listening. The gatekeeper by definition means you're the one who has the keys to the relationship. Like you decide how this relationship is going to go, because the men, as this was studied later on, the understanding was that men basically come with two chips, the providing and the protecting. And so they just need to be focused on that, and they need to be able to go out and do that. And they don't like to lose focus of that. They want to always be doing that in whatever shape or form that takes, but this is where they're strongest. And let's not have them lose focus of that. So the women then become the gatekeepers of everything else, nurturing the home, creating the boundaries, creating the energy of the relationship. So of course, this is something that just evolved in ancient tradition. And a lot of people these days, especially, there's sort of been a backlash to the really strong feminist ideologies that sort of try to strip away what we're innately supposed to be good at as women. So a lot of people are kind of doing, sort of a whole 360 and going back and saying no. And this is where the feminine energy is also making a comeback, where it's like, no, I want to be more in touch with my innate ability. So this doesn't mean that a woman cannot provide. It doesn't mean that a woman cannot go outside of the home and bring in money and be part of that process in a family. It also doesn't mean that the man can't learn better communication, that he can't also learn. It's not innate, but it doesn't mean he can't learn that. It simply means that innately, these are your strengths. So the strength predominantly in the masculine energy and in the male is to go out and provide and protect and not to lose focus of that. And when you think of society as a whole, I mean, we see that. And when you think of your husbands or you've seen your fathers, that's really what they're focused on. If you take away everything else, like take away the clutter, that's what they did best. Maybe we needed more attention from them. Maybe we needed more softness from them. Maybe we needed more care, more time. But what they actually did is fulfilled their role to provide and protect in whichever way they decided to do it. And so that doesn't mean, the great thing, of course, when we're exposed to all of this, is that we can apply it differently. We can recognize that our strength as the feminine energy is the gatekeeper, and honor and respect that his strength is to provide and protect. So all of these are really just invitations for you to think about or rethink or learn or unlearn
مين مش جاي معانا؟
potentially a new way of being, not just one-on-one in your relationships, but in general. It doesn't mean that you have to change who you are all of a sudden. Doesn't mean that you have to change your beliefs. Like everything we're doing here is an invitation to look at what might not be working potentially in your life. And right, so here's maybe another way for me to approach it. Maybe I was never taught that I have this really strong innate ability to be a gatekeeper. I mean, I remember, Basma, when you wrote this post on Facebook, I remember sitting with a friend of my father's about 30 years ago, and he was saying his daughter at the time was about 10 years older than I am. So we were all sitting having dinner, and he's older than my father by like also 20 years. I mean, they're both passed now, but I'll never forget, and I didn't understand at the time. He's like, when we used to teach our girls to be kind and to be understanding and to take care of her husband and take care of her home in his generation, right? So he was saying that used to be how we used to teach girls to be. But he was saying because times have changed, we don't teach girls to be that anymore. We teach them to be tough, and we teach them not to just take anybody's word for granted. We teach them to be on their guard. We teach them to be hardened. He's like, but he's like, I don't know that that's working either. And this was 30 years ago. So I think as humans, we just go through these cycles and we try something, it doesn't work. So maybe it's time to revert to this. And when it comes to understanding, yeah, because I think our generation especially has been taught that, as much as we've been taught to be, I mean, myself anyway, to be a people pleaser on a very, very strong level, I was also taught to, be independent, stand up for yourself, don't let people, just sort of enforce themselves on you. I was taught both. But I know for me, the people pleaser took over for the longest time. For the longest time, I was just a people pleaser, doing everything perfectly. I can't make a mistake. I can't do anything wrong. I can't say anything wrong. But I can see in so many women around me how, like, as Bessie has said, like you get hardened inside because if you're not, then you're seen as weak. So it's just an invitation to let that different energy in to see how that works for you. And it's not about becoming a complete opposite of who you are. It's not about losing control. It's the complete opposite. What I've learned, and this has been, when I first was introduced to this 7, 8 years ago, it like I told you, it didn't make any sense to me. And it's still a work in progress. So the work I've given you in the module is not something you're just going to apply this week and then suddenly you're going to have it figured out. It's a very slow progress because if you decide to take this invitation and if you decide you're going to experiment with it and if you decide you're going to actually apply it where you actually want to see it, make a true change in your life, that takes a very long time because of whatever it is you've been programmed to do is very strong. Your knee-jerk reactions to situations and conversations and reactions is very strong. So undoing that will take time and might feel very counterintuitive to everything you're doing. So what you want to do is focus on this is why I give you a whole bunch of recommendations. Every one of you is different. Every one of you has a different background, education, relationship. And it's not about going through that list and perfecting every skill of being a gatekeeper. Read into it and see which is the one, again, and using your feminine intuition, which is the one piece of advice that you think you could start with. Like you're just going to dip your toes into it to see how it works for you in your current in the relationship. When I say relationship, it could mean your main relationship with your spouse, but it could also mean your parents, your kids, your siblings, friends, colleagues, and it can be really, really, really powerful. So when you can shift the energy of a conversation instead of trying to give a definite answer or trying to fix someone or saying this is how it should be, or thinking ahead, what Nirmin was saying last time, where you're in a conversation and you're listening, but you're actually thinking ahead to what you're going to say before the person has even finished their sentence. All of this is you trying to be in control. Imagine just taking a step back and staying quiet and just allowing the person in front of you just to keep on going. Just let them keep going, expressing themselves. Most people just have a need, really, all of us just have a need to be able to speak freely and express ourselves freely. So imagine if you can be on the receiving end of that. And instead of feeling like you have to continuously interject this conversation, you just sit back and you listen intently, which is one of the practices we did at the very beginning. Listen and really hear what the person is saying. Give them space to think without responding. Because most people, when they're in a conversation, they might figure out what it is they're trying to have a conversation around on their own at some point. And then ask an open-ended question instead of making a definite remark. And then share how you feel instead of presuming you know how they feel. And just literally see how the energy shifts. And that's where the power is. That's where your softness translates into strength. Is that more clear for everybody right now? A little bit more clear. Rania had also asked me last week. She's like, which one of the exercises is one that you use? Like, what have I personally applied that has made the biggest difference? And by far, I would say my go-to when I have a difficult conversation to have, or when my spouse or my kids come to me and they're saying something, is to use the I statements. This is the easiest one. It doesn't require you to think or to say, okay, I have to think and have, how am I going to create this conversation now? It's a response, and it's the easiest one to apply because all you need to do is just say, I feel, and then say whatever it is you feel. It's the easiest one. If you're feeling stuck and you don't know which one to practice, you don't know which one to apply, this is the one that it's the easiest and the one you can see the quickest results in. This is the one I've seen transform the energy and transform the reaction of the person in front of me the fastest. The easiest to implement is the I statement because it completely takes, let's say you're in a conversation that's let's say there's more of a conflict, right? Or let's say you want to bring up a conversation where something needs to be resolved and you need it resolved, hopefully your way. Person in front of you, your spouse, your kids, family member has, quote unquote, wronged you in some way, according to your perception, because remember also it's all about perceptions. But let's assume you want to resolve this. If you want the person that you're speaking to listen, the most basic level, not turn off, not shut down the moment you open your mouth. Very, very different approach when you say, I felt let down versus you let me down. Automatically. And especially if this is a conversation with a spouse and he's programmed to provide and protect, when you present it in a way that I was let down, even if you're referring to him, automatically his protection chip is going to come into play versus being defensive if you say you let me down. You did this, you did this, you did this. Any human being is going to automatically shut down and go into defense mode and turn it around and start accusing you. And then the conversation just ends up going in circles, can be escalated, end up in an argument. Nothing is resolved. But if you focus on every single remark and statement and comeback that you make is an I statement, that completely shifts. At the most basic level, you get heard instead of being ignored. So if you haven't done any of these yet, you're not sure where to start, which one to start with that one. Super, super easy. But really what you're saying, I feel let down by what you did. Yes, but you're just changing the phrasing. Yes, I was let down. You can even say I was let down by you. You can be very specific. I was let down when you said XYZ. I was let down when you said, or you promised to do this and then you didn't. But it's not an accusation. I felt sad. I felt angry. You're turning it and it's you. You're talking about yourself. There's no accusation there. There is a statement of what it is you felt made you angry, but there's no accusation. It's not you let me down. You said you were going to do this and you didn't. I was waiting for you to do the dishes and you didn't. I was waiting for you and you were 2 hours late. You let me down. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. They will shut down. So the power here is that you're still making your statement, but you're making it in a way, you're phrasing it in a way that works for you instead of against you. You're not shying away from the situation. You're just being really smart about how you communicate the situation. You're welcome.
Dana, I've been working on the listening, the listening exercise. I just wanted to share that I at the beginning it was really hard because I never knew that I was very like I always like tried to defend myself, tried to prove my point or push my thoughts. I never thought that was like that. But just being aware of that has made me more um aware of letting go of constantly defending myself. And I realized this week it happened a couple of times because I was more conscious of it. And I found that it's so much easier not to like being in my feminine energy in that specific the listening one, just so much more easier. I don't have to like you just give them the space to talk and not, make the conversation and try and defend myself. It's so much easier. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. I want to go there. I want to do that all the time. It's just much, much easier. And then they realize that it diffuses. The problem diffuses much quicker than with me constantly trying to defend myself.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so just thought I'd share that one. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's what ends up happening. You just realize like everything is just more smooth. Everything is
Mm,
less loud, but it doesn't mean it's any
mm,
less effective.
mm,
And all you've
mm,
done is activated your feminine energy, activated your innate power as a gatekeeper, which none of us were ever taught.
mm,
And like you said, everything just ends up dissolving or resolving on its own. It doesn't
mm,
get ignored.
mm.
It doesn't get escalated.
Yeah.
And it does actually find a very smooth resolution.
Mm,
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
yeah.
Uh,
Much more relaxing.
much more relaxing. There's a lot of things in this modern day and age that can
Mm,
potentially, a lot of things that in order for us to have this peaceful life, we need to recognize all these triggers and not let the triggers get to us and
mm,
recognize that, we're the only ones in control of our reactions and nobody can make you sad, nobody can make you angry, nobody can make you happy either. Those are all states of being that you decide how you want to be. So it's challenging enough to
mm,
have to, I think, navigate all the potential triggers. So then when you find yourself in a situation where all you need to do is sit and listen and, give
mm,
somebody space and empower yourself by talking about yourself instead of accusing the person in front of you, why not?
mm.
I have a question.
Hi, Amel. Go ahead.
Hi, Dana. So, what happens when you are too much into the feminine side? When you're doing too much of all this listening and accommodating and letting go. And so, there's this very fine thread
Hmm.
where when there is too much of it, you start pushing inside and not getting it
No, this is
out.
not about pushing. This is not about repressing. This is not about not expressing. The feminine is not about repression. It's not about holding things in. It's about communicating in a feminine way, in a very different way that is more effective. On no level are you pushing things back down, pushing emotions back down, pushing thoughts back down. That's not what the feminine is about. The feminine actually is about creating healthy boundaries, mutual, respect and growth and communication. The mindful listening and being holding space for somebody to express themselves is it's part of it is for you to curate the energy of the situation, but in this at the same time you are learning about yourself, you're cultivating your own self-awareness, but that doesn't mean that you don't express your that doesn't mean you're not in alignment with who you are and you don't express yourself fully. It just means that you're not going to do it in an aggressive way, in a passive aggressive way. You're not going to do it in an accusatory way because those are simply just not effective. What we're trying to get out here at the end of the day is for you to use your feminine energy to make so much of what you're doing in your day to day, including communication, more effective, getting more done by doing less. Anybody else, ladies? Comment.
So you want us I know that you had asked us to do one exercise, and do you think we should just through this whole month just continue trying different should we go through all of them, you think?
Stick with
Uh
one.
no,
Stick
just
with
stick with
one.
one.
Stick with one because it's challenging enough. It's challenging enough
It's
with
yeah,
so
that's
much of
right.
how we are used to doing things. So for you to then also
Mm,
say, okay,
mm,
let me try this one today. Let me try this one today. Stick with one, and that could take you several months. Stick with one until you feel that you've actually unlearned the old habit or the old way of
mm,
communicating, and you've finally learned and you keep relearning the new one when it feels very comfortable. You might actually find you only need one.
mm,
You might find that you
mm,
can apply it in so many different situations that you don't need to go and do even and add more a bigger workload on yourself. If you are naturally curious, I'm never going to tell you don't go and try different ones, but I wouldn't say definitely don't feel the pressure because that totally defeats the purpose. There's no pressure
okay.
to go and
Mm,
experiment with every single one. Choose one. Look at the one that feels the most in tune with your current mental state, with your current state, with the relationship that you want to apply this to and work and use that one.
mm,
Focus on that one. And like I said, the one was always the easiest is the I statements. Because like some of the other one, I think I was also telling Rania this last week. Like for example, there was the one where you do like the weekly check-in or the daily check-in with your partner about how you're both feeling, just so that you're sort of, in tune and you're not losing touch with each other. It never really worked anyway for my husband and I. Like it felt like contrived. Like let's sit down and do a check-in right now. And how are you feeling today? And how are you feeling today? I know it works for many other people, lots of other couples. Didn't work for
mm,
us. You also have to understand yourself and understand your spouse if this is the relationship you're applying it to. The other thing Rania had asked me, and this was also a really good question, is you don't tell the person, like your spouse or your kids or your parents, you
mm.
don't tell them that you're doing this on them, right? You don't say, by
It's
the
our
way,
secret.
yeah, you don't say, by the way, I'm going to try this new way of communication. No, you don't do that. You just do it organically. You just, you think, okay, here, okay, he's going to say something. I want to say something, right? Let me just use an I. I'm just going to say I instead of you today. That's it.
Mm,
It needs to be something that the shift and the evolution of that needs to be gradual and organic. So we don't tell them, I'm learning something as excited as you might be, to say, I'm learning how to be like this. I'm learning how to be a better communicator. So here's what I'm going to start doing from now on. Don't do that. It won't work. Where is this exercise? This was in last week's module. So the one that I shared last Sunday. Today I didn't share anything new. It was to give everybody sort of a chance to be able to uh, focus on the material and implement and not have to add another layer to that. So it's there. Month 2, week 3, Basma. So the one where the I statements was last week, which is week 3. The week before that was the one about sitting and listening and hearing. The one before that was about the self-love. And everything that started beginning of February. You'll see them in the order. You're welcome. So as with everything else, it really is very personal to what extent you want to apply this or not. But I do highly recommend and I don't think I've ever met a woman who didn't want to improve her relationships, who wasn't frustrated with her relationships, who wasn't potentially living sort of hardship even because of a relationship. And I've never seen all of those in whichever intensities they were existing. I haven't never seen one not improve by consistently applying at least one of these practices. And the most important thing, of course, is you have to always keep reminding yourself of this. We did it from the beginning, is It's not about being attached to the outcome. It's not about changing the person in front of you. It actually has nothing to do with the person in front of you. It's about coming into your own power. It is not about forcing anyone, changing anyone, blaming anyone. It is about you and your perception and your ability to communicate and your ability to hold space and your ability to be soft and your ability to be strong at the same time. It is not about trying to change people. Nobody has ever succeeded in that in the history of the world. Somebody only changes, not you might think you've changed somebody, but the only reason somebody changes is because they made a decision to change. Maybe they followed your example. Maybe you were doing something long enough, consistent enough that you inspired them. But did they change because you said, I need you to change? Never. Never works. Did you change because somebody told you to change? No. You changed whatever it was, health, physical health, mental health, emotional health, whatever it is you've done in terms of your own growth didn't happen because somebody told you, by the way, you need to change. It happened because you know and you needed to make the change. So you went ahead and looked for that journey and looked for the solutions. Nobody changes because you make them change. So this will backfire if you think that you're going to do this so that you can elicit a specific response. You're doing this for yourself. You will get a different response, but not because that's the end goal. Because when you shift your energy, we're all energetic beings, it will naturally shift the energy of the person in front of you, but it's not because you forced it. Oh, it's okay, Basma. Anybody else? Nihed, Sandra, anybody?
About the wins, or are we doing the questions still?
We can do questions and then we can do wins.
I don't have a question, so I'll wait for the wins.
Well, go
then I
ahead,
can share.
share a win then. Share a win with us.
It's a quick one, but I am doing the somatic exercising.
Yeah.
Exercises, and I'm in day 14 now, so
Okay.
super happy I started them, and I don't feel like anything yet,
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying them anyways. So yeah.
That's important. Yeah, that's important. Don't, again, especially with these, the point is exactly what you're saying is to enjoy them and allow your body to relax into them. And when the release needs to happen, it will happen. And it doesn't necessarily happen when you're doing the exercise. Usually it happens at a time when you least expect it. So simply just allow for that and let it be. You're not focused on the outcome. Again, right? You're focused on the process.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Good.
Hi. Well, I started my self-love exercises,
Okay.
and I was actually quite embarrassed to sit in front of the mirror and talk to myself.
Yes.
So I decided to just do something little and just do that one thing, and just to look in the mirror and tell myself that I love myself every day. Every time I face a mirror, my face comes. I just look at myself and I say, I love you, Nihed. And that brought a smile to my face. And I don't know whether it's because of this, but on that week, when I kept doing that continuously, a lot of people said to me that there's something different about you this week. And I even had somebody who I hadn't seen for a long time, a neighbor on the street. She stopped her car and she said, you know what, you look really great. And I said, thank you. And I was going to my painting class, so I had on my just any clothes, and I was not looking too great, but I would just walk to my painting class with the biggest smile on my face that day. So I'm starting to believe in self-love, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a list of affirmations that I'm gonna use. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that. Yeah, that's my win for this week,
That's
I guess.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, imagine, you know how when like, a couple first meets, and they're in the throes of love and at first and everybody can see that you're in love because you're glowing, right? But imagine you get to give that to yourself. You're like
Yeah.
glowing with love. Oh my God, that is beautiful. It is a hard exercise. It's a horrible exercise at first. It's awful. It's like you just sit there and
Yeah.
like, what? Like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's really, there's a lot of resistance to this one. But when you actually, allow, right? It's about the allowing. You just allow yourself and just there's something that happens at first. It's so awkward and it's so uncomfortable. But then you realize that it's the most natural thing in the world to love yourself. But again, like so many other things, we're just never taught. So I love that for you, Nihed. I love it. Keep doing it. Anybody else want to share a win?
My one would be just the dissolving. Like I had a couple of uh, conversations that could have turned really bad, but me just stepping back and listening and not responding and not defending myself. I kept, um, reminding myself that whatever their feelings are valid. It's got nothing to do with me, and yeah, that helped me. So that would be my one for this week.
Another beautiful win. Yeah. I mean, imagine it's not easy. And I know Ranya's taken you time to get to that point, but like every person has a right to feel what they want to feel. I mean, that's also such a simple theory, right? Every person, every human being has a right to feel what they want to feel, obviously, including ourselves. But why we all feel the need and the urge to change people's feelings and change people's thoughts, this is the source of it all. This is it. And Rania just said, like, she just sat there, she just let the person be who they are. And did that feel powerful in the end, Rania?
Okay.
There you are.
Sorry. Yeah, I felt powerful, and I felt it was also a relief, and they were happy. It was a win-win for both on both sides. So yeah, I felt more powerful, and I didn't have to think of what I wanted to say. I just, just quiet. I can do this, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Hard. No, nobody's saying
Because
anything.
it's been a muscle. It's been a muscle that I just you just do it. It's just automatic. It's an automatic reaction. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
But feeling the power of it, I'm like, yeah, no, I can do this.
Yeah. And presumably the other person had no idea what you were doing. And they probably, I don't know if it was a man or a woman.
I'm sure they were shocked. No,
Oh,
I'm sure.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure they were shocked. They're like, do you want to say anything? I'm quiet. I'm good. Yeah, so.
And you did that. That's where the power is. When I say presumably the other person had nothing to do with it or didn't even notice, because if they haven't learned this, they're not
Yeah.
they're not co-creating that energy with you, right? You're the only one who's doing
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
You know, it's different when, like, for example, we're all here in a group together. There's sort of a collective consciousness of us, you know, getting healthy, you know, changing our mindsets. So all of us are co-creating this together because we're working on ourselves together. We're working on the concepts together. There is an element of co-creation, but when you're going to go into these conversations and into these relationships, and you're the only one who's consciously shifting that energy, that's you completely. You're the only one.
Mm,
You're the only one creating
yeah,
that new dynamic in that relationship. And that's where the power is. Of course, the
I
next
think like you
level.
said, like
Go ahead.
sorry, I said like you said, the idea that we'd want to share that we're doing something different. I think I find that it's so personal. I wouldn't want to share because it's something like we're sharing it together because we're all, like you said, we're all learning together. It's fine if we do mistakes and tell one another. But when you are telling your spouse or your family member that you're practicing this new practice, and obviously because it's something new, you are going to get it wrong. You might get it once right, you might get it wrong. So you don't want to have this you don't want to mirror you don't want them to mirror you or just, you know, comment while you're still practicing when it's something still new. So I feel that it's important just keep it to myself because it's still a muscle that I'm still needs working on, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Mm, mm, mm.
Hi, Sally. You turned on your camera. How
Hi,
are
yes. Hello. I wanted to share something. I was just reflecting that with Nihad, we graduated years ago, and we attended 31 years ago, the labor classes with Katrina Shawqi. It was very special at that time. I think
So did
we're
I.
doing. Yay!
Yes.
But it was, yeah, and now we are very keen about your program. So I was just connecting with Nihat that we have something, alike.
It's
And
the collective consciousness, right? When and you
yes,
see it where people want to make the shift together, people's, you know, we call it also an evolution of consciousness, where people, they're, and it comes in phases in terms of, humanity, where people just have this time where people, like, you see more people wanting to work on themselves, more people wanting to change their health, their mental health, their physical health. But I didn't know. Yeah, that's great that you guys are still connecting this way.
connecting. Yeah, we married cousins as well, but we don't. It's a small
Okay.
world.
It's a small world.
But Nihad by nature is very calm. At that
Yeah.
31 years ago, and I'm a very anxious person. I was a very anxious person, but I'm watching the shift in me now that I'm getting back to be calmer, to be my true self, which
Yeah.
is easygoing and
Yes.
away from my masculine side, which I was really, really into it.
Yeah.
And it was giving me a hard time because it's away from my nature.
Yeah.
So I'm practicing this, but for this week, I'm going to practice the self-love. I love you. I want to, it resonated to me very much. And I think for this month, I'm not really doing the things properly because I traveled for 3 weeks and I came back. But Nihad helped me to get all the books. I have the library now, all there, but
Good.
not reading much, just few pages in each book. But still, I feel I take time, but I'm at least on the right track.
Yeah.
I have nice flowers every day, but I don't have the time to post. I'll start posting from tomorrow. That I have them. I planted them in the garden,
Oh,
and
lovely. Great
I
idea.
really enjoy them every day. And I had a friend came over last week, and she told me they're really pretty. They're noticeable with the colors, and
Mm.
it
Oh,
gives joy.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it really does. This is the
Yes.
thing, ladies, with this program. Like I said, every week is an invitation to take what I'm giving you, to bring it into your life at your own pace. So you could literally go back to, the first week, the first module we had, and that it might feel like it feels right for you to implement that right now. It might feel right for you to implement the self-love. Now you're inspired to do it. Nihed just did it. Maybe the fact that somebody has just shown you that it actually works could trigger it for you. You're like, okay, I glossed over it, really didn't feel like it was for me, but maybe now I'm going to try it. Maybe you haven't done the dinner yet. Maybe in the next weekend you'll do it. You're going to have this toolbox that you can refer to and pick and choose what works best for you. The only thing that I keep saying really stick to is the reading, right? Is really dedicate the time daily for the reading, because this is about, slowing down literally physically, because you have to sit down and do nothing else. Slowing down your nervous system, activating your imagination, activating your connection to characters and stories, that's what literature is about. It's about it's about humans. It is about the human stories throughout time. So letting go, sort of, escaping sort of reality and letting yourself indulge in the pages, in the words, and the experiences of the characters. This is all about connecting to your feminine energy. So if there's anything that I would say, stick with consistently and make sure that you apply the masculine characteristic of the discipline, would be to the reading. Everything else, let that flow. Let those feminine energy, feminine activities, feminine applications in your home to yourself, let that flow based on how you feel, which is the one that you need and which is the one that's going to serve you best now.
Dana, I have a comment on that.
Yes.
So for me, the reading, it's actually, so I used to read, with the program, I'm reading more,
Yeah.
but I'm reading too much.
No such
So
thing. No such thing.
once I get absorbed, so I will tell you, so once I get absorbed with the book, it's just like, I stay until 1 a.m. and then, oh my God, it's 1 a.m. I need to go to bed. It's like I put the kids to sleep and then I'm reading. I spent the other day from 9 till 1 a.m. and I was reading the whole time. It's like, oh my, I need to stop. So sometimes I feel like, I'm scared. Like I love reading, so I enjoy it.
Why do you think you need to stop? I can only think of one reason. I can think of one reason only, but you tell me why. No, the only thing that sort of away, just as a health coach, I'm like, oh, going to sleep at 1 a.m. is just going to throw off her circadian rhythm. It's just going to throw off, her liver function. Like, that's it. But other than that, there's no reason to stop.
The thing is, like, the next day, then you're gonna wake up, tired, and I have the kids to wake up for school, and then I don't want to go, for example, for my practice because I want to finish reading. So, for example, today I'm off work, so I decided to just stay in bed, and I was reading the whole morning as well.
That's okay. That's perfect. You see how far off we've gone? Like, we think like the right thing to do is to be productive and to be hustling and to be running and to be doing all these things, right? And when we actually just sit in bed for 5 hours and read, we think that's wrong.
Yeah.
No. This is what more of us need to be doing more of that. I definitely remember when I was a teenager and younger and I loved reading, I would stay up until 1 and 2 a.m. I had to finish a book if I was really into it. It doesn't matter if I stayed until 2 or 3 in the morning, right? Like I said, the only reason you would tweak that a bit is because I'm just worried about your liver. That's it. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Nothing wrong with doing that at all.
My husband is suffering as well. Like he gets to listen to the whole story. It's like, oh, don't you just want to know what happens next? And then I'll tell him like the next 10 chapters that went. And so it's like he doesn't actually have an option to say no because he knows I'm gonna tell him the story anyway. So yeah.
Right. Put the book when you're done, like put it on his side of the room, like on his side of the bed, That's what I do with my husband. I want him to read something, and telling him to read it never works. So I always just put it on his side. Just, it's here, like, and he has to just see it every day. And then at some point he'll be like, okay, fine. And he'll pick it up and start to read it. Yes,
No,
no.
I tell him this too. I don't wait. So I tell him every day.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that is really cool, isn't it? It is really cool. So no, don't change it. Maybe just sleep a little bit earlier, but don't change it.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. On another note, ladies, everybody getting ready for I mean, I asked this question, but I actually don't even know what it means because I don't even do it. But is everybody getting ready for Ramadan? Sandra aside.
I'm getting ready for Lent tomorrow.
Yeah, you also have your fast coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tomorrow.
tomorrow, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Nihed is getting ready. Okay. Yeah, it's upon us, these beautiful, beautiful spiritual times next week. And I had said I'm going to do spirituality in month 3, totally not being aware that month 3 was actually Ramadan and actually Lent. So it's a wonderful time for us to be talking about spirituality. So we will start that next week. Oh no, next week we have a book. I will give you a module on that next week, but we won't talk about that next week. We'll talk about it the week after. But yeah, next week you will get your first new ways, or better ways of approaching spirituality, how to grow your spirituality, whichever way you want to do it. Just a reminder that starting next week, our sessions will be at 1 p.m. Cairo. Yes, 1 p.m. Cairo. So until I come back. So basically until May, we will do that. All right. And what else did I want to say? Sandra is going to lead us next week. No, not next week, in Tess of the D'Urbervilles. So I obviously I will do it if nobody volunteers, but I would love. I mean, Sandra has, she's throwing herself in, taking the leap. She's gonna do it. This is a safe space, ladies. It's not about being literary. It's not about being, an English lit major where you can break it down and analyze it. You will probably just have to look up a few things, maybe some questions to ask the group, open-ended questions to keep the conversation going. It's really just about you being the one who just organizes the conversation around the book for the day. That's it. It's not difficult.
That's a peer report, like holding the conversation for 2 hours.
We usually, what we do, it's been about 90 minutes, and then we have some sort of open-ended questions and things. But I mean, I will also be there, and I can sort of insert some questions and things like that. But it's just part of, letting yourself try something new, letting yourself try something you've never done before in a safe space, because we are a group of equals, especially when it comes to the book club. None of us have like, nobody's really sort of needs to be the leader when it comes to the book clubs. And some of these books I haven't read myself, so I didn't give you all books that I've already read 100%. Some of these books I also haven't read. So it's always interesting to have somebody else create a different energy in the group, create a different vibe sort of in the group. That's always good for everybody. So don't be afraid to volunteer for this, because it's a lot simpler than you're making it in your head. A lot easier than you're making it in your head. So Sandra has volunteered to do Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Our next book next week is East of Eden. And then the one after that is... Next week is East of Eden. Then the one after that is Tess. What's the one after that? The Prophet, I think, maybe. Or what did I put in the thing? I forgot what they are. But take a leap of faith, ladies. Nobody's going to judge you here. Nobody's going to criticize you. All you're going to get is support. And at the end of the 90 minutes, you would have done something you've maybe never tried before. Maybe you would have never had a chance to do before, and sort of, given yourself, a little, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Like, here, I did something new. I did something different, which can be very uplifting. So think about it, ladies. East of Eden, I know, is a long one. So this is probably maybe one of the deterrents. It is a long book, and nobody wants to potentially want to have to come in and lead a call on that. But you'd be surprised, a short book can be just as challenging as a long book. So don't let the length of the book deter you.
Dana, I actually, yeah, it's gonna be Ramadan for everyone. But I don't mind switching, doing East of Eden instead of Tess, if that will be okay with you.
That's fine with me. Totally fine with me. Yep.
I don't know how the ladies will be or how they're feeling. I think it's gonna be the first or second day of Ramadan.
Our call will be on a Monday, so that will be the third day, I believe. I think for Ramadan is
Okay.
Saturday, right, ladies? Friday or Saturday?
I don't know. Or
I think
Sunday.
I think it's Saturday, and our call will be today's the only day I switched the day to Sunday, but our calls will stay Mondays, and so that
Yeah.
will be day 3 of Ramadan.
Okay, I don't mind doing it if you're
Okay, all right, that's fine. No problem at all, Besma. I know, I mean, already when we were doing it 7 p.m. Cairo, I know that like my ladies in Dubai, like Rania, like Inji, were already watching the replays because they couldn't do it. And then, we switch it. So it's really hard to get the time that works for everybody, especially that Tokyo is so off the zones completely. So definitely 100%. I appreciate that not everybody's going to be able to make it live. But in all of those cases, make sure, obviously, when you come back and watch the replay, to share your input, share your reactions, share your questions about the book, as if you had attended with us live. You're welcome. And also in terms of the eating, I do recommend, if you have done nothing with the eating up until now, that you do something in Ramadan, because the week after Eid is when we will be going into a deep detox. So start to prepare yourself if you've done nothing. I know some of you are already doing clean eating, but if you haven't, Ramadan is a really great time to do that, just for the simple fact that you're fasting the whole day. You don't have opportunities to drink coffee, to snack, to go to your favorite comfort foods when you need them. You just don't. So it's a great time, because ideally we should be focusing on our spiritual growth in Ramadan and really not thinking about food. This would be the time for you to create a foundation so that we're going to the deep detox in April, inshallah. And I put those documents, in case those of you who didn't notice, I put the documents in. And some of you, I think all of you have done this before, have done this, either the Ramadan detox on its own, or you've done this within the context of the older programs I've done. You've all done the Ramadan plans. It's the same one, so it's going to look very familiar to you. I put it in the file section. I'm looking forward to the deep detox. I really am too. I wish I would be able to start it with you, but I will still be in Tokyo. It's going to be a really, really good one, inshallah. Yes. So I'm happy that you're looking forward to it.
Dana, just
Yes.
a suggestion. Can we add next time to the poll? Because I would like to know who's reading actually East of Eden with me. I felt like I wanted to add that.
So, I mean, it will go in on Thursday's poll. So
Okay.
I do the book that we are currently either just discussed or currently reading in the Thursday poll.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm reading it with you. This is a new book for me as well. It's been on my list forever. That was one of the reasons I put it in the group, because I really have been wanting to read it for so many years. First time to read it. I'm loving it. So I hope that you also, ladies, are loving it. So yeah, but that would be on the accountability post on Thursday. Yes. And the Thursday after that also, but we'll be done with the class by then. Yeah, it's a good book. Really good book. Do we feel complete today, ladies, or does anybody have anything else to bring up? Okay, let me know, please, this week. I won't be available, obviously, tomorrow or most of Tuesday, but please take some time to go through especially if you want to focus on the gatekeeper portion and you want to go and read that, you want to start to implement that, and you have questions about that, then, go and do that tonight. It's not a long read. And I think you'll see, if you just focus, you will intuitively know what's the best practice for you to start to implement. So since we don't have anything new this week, I do highly recommend that you, like how Besma did today, coming on with a great awareness and shift in how she sees it and asking a question. Let's take advantage of the fact that we're not doing anything new this week. And we had our call at the beginning of the week. So we have the rest of the days to read and think and reflect and ask me all of your questions as well. All right, ladies?
Dana, I just wanted to ask about the anti-inflammatory diet. Can I ask here?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm getting this flare up, a bit of inflammation in my eye, which had a problem.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, maybe I'm doing something not right. I take one coffee a day. Would this stop? It's not right. I should stop it?
Yeah, cut it out. You're gonna cut it out anyway in a few days, right?
Yeah.
Start from now.
But how can I help? Yeah, if you can give me a tip to speed up I take the celery, I take the fruit, and I'm taking.
The fastest way. Remember, we talked about in the hormone detox program the levels of detoxing.
Yes.
There's the really deep levels of detoxing and sort of mid-level and sort of slower levels. So, for example, the clean eating that we do in Ramadan, this is the slowest level of detox, right?
Yeah.
Very, very slow, very just going with the body, not really triggering a lot of symptoms. It's just working on sort of not making inflammation worse and healing at a very slow pace. When you want to speed it up, every time you want to speed up healing in general, you get rid of animal protein, you get rid of any grains, you get rid of obviously coffee, any caffeine. The more you do just fruits and vegetables, the deeper you're going. You want to go even deeper, get rid of the vegetables and you do fruits only. Fruits are the least antagonistic foods to the body, the strongest healers for the body. You want to go even deeper, you do fruits in liquid form. So really deep is just fruits in solid form. So as many fruits as you want throughout the day. But here's the thing with this, and we're going to be doing this in the deep detox. A lot of people, when they try to do this, they don't eat enough. So they don't feel the benefit. So they'll wake up, maybe have 2 bananas. And then maybe an hour later have a smoothie. And then maybe 4 hours later have another banana, right? And maybe a few hours later have a big bowl. And then they don't feel anything. You need a medicinal dose. And that is a lot more fruits than you actually think you could possibly eat. But this is the fastest way, short of doing an all liquid juice fast, the fastest way to heal your body.
And with the fruits, we can take the dates. It's okay.
Anything.
Dates.
Anything.
Dates.
Yeah.
I think now you draw my attention. I'm taking lentil bread every day. So
Okay, that has
uh,
to go. Yeah. See, the thing is with as anybody going through a healing process will figure out that, and you might not make that connection. And you might think, what's wrong with lentil bread? It's just lentils. But if you get symptoms, that's your body letting you know, as you're experimenting with the healing and which one is going to maintain healing, which one is going to speed up healing, which one is going to slow down healing, and which one is going to go back to retriggering symptoms. The body's always responding correctly. So there's nothing wrong with your body. There's a cause and effect. We've got coffee and we've got lentil bread. Right? And
Yes.
the body's like, bam, bam, bam. Here's what I'm going to give you when you give me coffee and lentil bread. Body is always responding correctly.
Yeah, I want to share with everybody. I think I shared earlier that I managed to 3 weeks ago to stop the attack just by eating fruits. I think vegetables as well. I didn't know that vegetables can slow down. I thought
They
vegetables and
won't. You'll
fruits.
still be doing a deep detox with vegetables. I'm saying if you want to speed it up more, then it would just be fruits. But it's very
Okay.
fast. It's still very fast with vegetables.
Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. Nihed, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask about the dates. Is it okay to eat the magdul dates and those preserved ones? Or did you just mean fresh ones? بلح يعني.
The masdul ones are perfectly fine, or any variety that you prefer. We also have I think in Egypt that we have sort of seasonal dates also. So things that are you can definitely do that. Any of the ones.
Okay, that's cool. And any amount يا رنا ولا do you برضو اللي هي 4 with an apple ولا
There's a minimum amount, but there's no maximum amount.
Okay. What's the minimum?
You with dates, I would say at least 6 to 8 dates a day, at least. If you're gonna have them with an apple snack, 2 to 3 couple times a day, at least.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
But you told us not to eat the dried fruits, the teen and the mishmish, the Ramadan stuff.
Those all the ones that you're seeing everywhere now for Ramadan. No, they're full.
We can't soak them and then eat them. Maybe get rid of
I would probably, if you soak them a bit, they'll release some of the added sugar. But there's sugar, but there's the bigger problem also is the sulfates, the preservatives. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a Ramadan tradition. So, and if it's something you look forward to every year, do it. The problem is if you do it every single day.
But the arasya, I need to take it often because to make me not constipated. The arasya is not good as well.
Same. Okay, so we need to look at root cause of constipation then, Sally. Okay, we need to look at root cause. If you're not able to have easy bowel movements unless you're having arasya, then there's a deeper issue that we need to look at.
No. Sometimes when I feel it's not, I take arasya ashan to speed up.
But I mean, if you're having lentil bread, I can already tell you it's gonna block. It's gonna slow things down.
I didn't know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I usually don't get constipated, so I was wondering, and I was eating arasya to help. Okay. Thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Sandra? I'm actually looking forward for the detox.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the clean eating, just sometimes like for a few days it works, but then there's always like the exceptions, and then the exception after day, and then you forgot about the clean eating again. But when I'm doing the detox, for some reason, my mind is like I'm committed to this and no exceptions. So for some reason, actually following a deep detox is easier for me, and my body is like I'm all like inflammation everywhere in my joints and everything, which makes me feel my age at all.
Well, you did sort of say where the solution is. You said it's in my mind. You make it non-negotiable in your mind with the deep detox. You make a decision and you say it's non-negotiable. You need to make that same decision with clean eating. That's the only difference here. You're making one non-negotiable and you're deciding one is negotiable. That's it.
Yeah.
I hear you. Nihad is also in the same boat. Make it non-negotiable regardless of which one you're doing.
To be honest, I know I mentioned this before, but with Lent, it's also another thing. It's easier when you're already like with Lent, you're not eating anything almost other than fruits and vegetables anyways. And the only thing that you get to fight is the fried food. But I mean, so that's another reason why it's easier. So for me, for example, like it just crossed my mind, so I just thought of sharing it because we are doing the deep detox actually after the Lent.
But you're gonna have a bit of a head start. So with Lent, when you do that anyway, what's the thing that motivates you during Lent?
Spirituality, of course. Like I mean, like you're focused on that, so that keeps me going. And actually, you don't feel it at all. Like 50 days they go by very quickly, and I don't miss any of the food or chocolate or anything. It's weird, but once I'm off, I go back again. And that's why I'm saying it crossed my mind that because after Lent, I'm gonna be doing the deep detox. So actually, I'm gonna be staying like on fruits and vegetables for a very long time, which is for anyone after Lent, it's unheard of.
Oh, that's not the truth, right? It's unheard of only because nobody's ever done it, not because it's not possible, right? That's also
yes.
So yeah, I mean, you have people you have what's called frugivores, right? And these are people who live their whole lives just on fruits. So they've been doing it for years, just eating fruits nonstop. You have people obviously who have cancer, who have very advanced, diseases and who want to heal and will eat nothing but fruits for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year, however long it takes to clear it. So we know that it's physically possible. The only thing that holds us back is our mind. That's it. But is it physically possible? There's a million examples of people doing it. So it's I tell you, I catch your thoughts, or like it's unheard of for somebody to do this after Lent, right? So automatically, what's the instruction you're giving your subconscious? You're already kind of giving your subconscious like, oh, this is going to be hard because it's unheard of.
Yeah.
You're right, but you can just give it a different instruction. People do this all the time. People for no reason, not out of spirituality, not even out of illness, just because the experience they have in their bodies is so different and it gives them such an incredible quality of life that they choose to live like this every single day. So you can always choose to follow with anything in life. You can choose to follow the naysayers, right? The people who say everything's impossible, you can't do this, on every level. Or you can look to the people who make it non-negotiable, don't make excuses, and just do what they need to do.
Okay. Last thing, would you be able to help me, like, I mean, like, at least with the minimums? Because I tend to maybe forget or not even eat at all during that, which I lose a lot of weight and actually I go back to have no energy and all this because as you said, like I do like 2 bananas and then nothing for some time, and then I go back and eat an apple, and then I'm too lazy even to cut the apple, so I don't want to do this, and so on.
Yes. I can definitely guide you through this. I mean, the questions that you can share in the group right now don't just have to be around the focus that we're on in that month, right? It doesn't just have to be around relationships or just around spirituality. Definitely ask me if you're doing clean eating and there's a challenge, if we're coming onto Ramadan, anything like that, definitely you can ask me about in the group. anything physical, anything around food, nutrition. Yeah. But yeah, I when I was saying that, like I definitely had you in mind because I know what your pattern is. So that you need to be taking the proper dose, right? Even if all you're doing all day is just eating fruits, but you're eating a total of 6 fruits a day, very little, even though they're fruits, which are the least
That's
antagonistic.
actually on a good day. I would
Yeah.
do that on a good.
Yes, I know. I know. So even though they're fruits, so they're the least harmful, the least antagonistic to your body, the body's like, it's like you're almost there, but you're not. Like you're almost helping me, but you're not. And it's not going to be enough. Your body and your liver specifically need a lot of glucose. The liver needs to store glucose. Your liver is going to use up what you're eating in terms of fuel, and fuel comes in the form of sugar, in the forms of glucose. It's going to use it on the spot to give you energy, but your liver also takes from whatever sugars you're consuming. It takes a little portion of that and stores it in the liver every time you eat the sugars. Some is used in, on the spot consumption for energy, for healing, and some is stored in the liver every single time because your liver knows that there's going to be times when, for whatever reason, you forget to eat, you don't eat enough, you're tired, you're stressed, whatever it is, it has a backup that it's a reserve that it can reach into to help you. So if the foundation is lacking to start with, so you're not going to have enough for the present functions, the current day-to-day functions of your organs, and then the liver has nothing to take from to create a reserve for you for later on. So you will feel that deficit. You will always be tired. You won't get the healing that you need to feel. You won't get the benefits. You won't actually get to the point, where you go over and you feel better. The body's going to continuously be in deficit, compounded deficit. So it's always about, especially with fruits, eating a lot more than you think when it comes to healing. But post on the group so that I can help you with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dana, a quick question about almonds.
Yeah.
What about the toxins in almonds? And they said it's full of oxalates and
So the bigger problem with all nuts and all beans and legumes is something called phytic acid. So that's called the anti-nutrient. So when you consume it, what it does is it gets in the way of your body making use of absorbing and processing nutrients that you're consuming from other foods. So you might be eating really nutrient dense foods, all the fruits, all the vegetables, but then you're eating a lot of nuts or a lot of beans or hummus or food or something like that. And the phytic acid in these grains and beans interferes with the absorption of the vitamins and the minerals from your fruits and vegetables. This is the biggest problem with these. And one of the ways that we, mitigate that and try to lessen the amount of phytic acid in these is by soaking them. So when you really want to have them, this is why we soak them, because soaking them releases the phytic acid. That's when you soak it overnight and you wake up the next day and there's all that foam on the surface. That's the phytic acid. But it doesn't get rid of it 100%. Now, the other problem with nuts specifically, peanuts more than the other nuts, is they have a sort of invisible mold called aflatoxin that grows on, it's just there, it's a default with peanuts. And so when you eat peanuts specifically, you ingest this mold into your digestive system, and obviously it's mold, so it grows inside your digestive system and causes problems. Other nuts don't necessarily by default have aflatoxin growing on them, but depending on the way they're stored, so if they're stored in sort of damp, clammy spaces like a kitchen cupboard, they can grow aflatoxin. So with peanuts, it's there. No matter how you store it, no matter what, you buy it fresh, it's going to have it. Almonds, walnuts, all the other nuts can develop aflatoxin depending on how they're stored. So they can also become problematic. But you don't it's not like a mold that you can see. That's the thing.
So we can soak them. I never did soak the almonds or nuts. I always soak the food or the seeds.
So yes. So ideally, when you do want to have them, you would buy them raw and soak them in exactly the same way. And then when you come to store them in where there's lots of light and lots of air. and
Okay.
consume them quickly. Like it's
So
not something I would keep stored away in your kitchen cupboard for a long time. Like consume them on the spot, like just a little bit and then finished.
I heat them in the oven. Is this okay?
You roast after you soak them, you roast them in the oven.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
I put some salt on it.
Yeah, that's okay. But I would
Okay.
also say if you're doing this now with a flare up, this has to go.
No,
Yeah.
okay. No, I'm
Okay.
doing. I was just asking. Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Basma, are we starting the deep detox inshallah the week of April 6th, 7th? Right after the Eid, Basma. Eid is what day? Like what the Sunday after the Eid week is finished. The Sunday after that is when you'll get your materials for the detox. So we won't start the actual detox on that Sunday. You'll get the materials, and as we always do, we're going to have a few days of preparation. So let me just look at the calendar. Just 1, 2. So I would say, oh, so the week of Eid is like Sunday the 30th, right? So yeah, so you'd get the materials on the 6th, and we'd have about 3 or 4 days to prepare. Then we'd start the actual, you would start the actual plan on the 10th, I would say, April 10th. If you don't need to prepare, some of you won't want to, you might want to go straight into it. But those of you who need to prepare, you'll have a few days to prepare, and then you start on the 10th. You're welcome. All good, ladies? All right, I will let you go, and I will see you next week, 1 p.m. Cairo, inshallah. It will be Ramadan when we meet next. So كل سنة وانتم طيبين until we meet on our first session for Ramadan. I hope that it's going to be a wonderful, blessed month for everyone, inshallah. Thank you, Nihed. Thank you so much. I will let you all know when I land safely, inshallah, in Tokyo. It's a long way, but I'm very excited. I appreciate, obviously, all of your understanding with the shifting of the times and the shifting of everything. So I do really appreciate that, your cooperation and your understanding. And I will see you next week from Tokyo, ladies. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Goodbye.